Hello guys, I hope you have been enjoying the month of love, and today I'm going to be spreading those vibes a little further because we are going to be talking about all of the books that I currently have checked out on Kindle Unlimited. So I made a Kindle Unlimited TBR, I think it was like at the end of 2022, and I felt like I didn't read much on Kindle Unlimited. I feel like I don't read very much on Kindle Unlimited, which sucks because I'm paying for it. But I went and looked back at that video and there's actually only, I think, 3 books that are on this list that were previously on the one before. So I've cleared through the majority of the ones that I wanted to read like just over a year ago. So at the minute I have 19 books checked out, which is really unsatisfying because the limit is 20, but Curtis also has one checked out on my account as well, which is why I can only have 19. But at the time that I'm filming this, I'm preparing to go on a trip and I don't think I'm taking any physical books with me. So I've actually gone through, refreshed my KU TBR, got rid of some stuff I didn't want to read anymore, added some new stuff I'm excited about, and when you're actually watching this video that trip will be over and maybe I'll have read something from this list. But right now here are the 19 books that I have checked out on Kindle Unlimited in no particular order. So one of the ones that I know for sure that I have out for rare, because I don't really know much about it outside of that, is A Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager. I'm not sure I've really heard many people talk about this. It does have an average rating of 4.07 on Goodreads though, and I know that it is a fae romance that is set at court, and I love court, like royalty, opulent settings, and you'll know I'm a sucker for a fae romance as well. This one is about a noblewoman who is sent to spy on this like cunning, powerful fae lord, and as she gets closer to him she can't figure out whether he is more of a threat to her court or a threat to her heart. So like, sign me up. Another one of the rare ones is The Bone Witch by Ivy Asher. This is one that I do own physically, but I've got it on KU as well just for ease of access while I'm away. And this one is about a witch whose grandma died, and while she knows that the power runs in her family, she never expected it to come to her, like it was never supposed to come to her. But somebody knocks on her door one day and tells her that witches are being hunted and killed one by one, and he thinks that she is next. So she's then thrown into this world that she never wanted anything to do with and never planned to be a part of her life, because the power that belongs to her family is now going to be inherited by her. One that I've actually heard really good things about is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. This one was one that was originally brought to my attention by one of my patrons, and all I actually know about it is that it's quite dark, which I actually typically tend to like. I believe that it deals with gods and a girl who kind of like signed her life away to this monster to save somebody or like something, and now she essentially has to do his bidding, and this puts her in contact with like ancient beings. Super like mysterious synopsis that I can't really wrap my head around without context, but the level of depth and detail within the synopsis makes me also believe it's one that I'm going to enjoy. One that I don't really know the plot of at all, and one that should have been on my rare TBR, but I didn't do, like I think I mentioned in that video that I didn't research the list as thoroughly as I usually do, but that one is Beneath Wrath and Mercy by Jess Wisecup. So this is one that is highly recommended by Ali from Hardback Hoarder, and I already knew that, but I kind of forgot the title of it, and when I watched like one of Ali's videos recently, I did check the rare list knowing that this is a fantasy romance author and Jess Wisecup is indeed going to be there. So all I know about this from Ali's videos is that it is following somebody who is a little bit more mature than your typical fantasy romance character. Aside from that, I'm just taking it on faith because Ali loves it. I do still have The House of Striking Oaths by Olivia Wildenstein on here. This one is book 3 in the Kingdom of Crows series. This one is following a half-fae woman in a world where the only thing to be is fae. If you're anything less than full-blooded fae, you're essentially dirt. The most oppressed of all in this world are the humans. So our main character is half-fae, and this does allow her some privilege, but she's never treated as a full member of the fae, and she's also in love with the prince of the fae. So one day she goes to this human party and she meets an oracle that tells her if she finds, I think it's 5 iron crows and frees them, then she will become the queen of all of the realms, which she takes to mean that she is going to marry the prince and then become the queen. So she goes on this mission not really knowing what she's doing and finds out a whole ton about the world that she didn't really know. I read books 1 and 2 just before book 3 was released, and I read them pretty much back to back, and I really need to make book 3 a priority. Like, I am horrible at going back and picking up a book when it's been like a couple of months since I've like binged more than one book in the series. One that has been on my TBR since that previous TBR video that I made, but now I guess is like at a higher priority level, is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, which is the first book book in the Devil's Night series. So I've read 2 books by Penelope Douglas before. I love her addictive writing style and I've always wanted to read the Devil's Night series, but now it's even more of a priority because Penelope Douglas is also going to be at Rare. This one is following, I think every book follows one of this group of boys, and at least the one that's in the first book was put into prison because of something that a girl said, like I think she snitched or something. So book 1 at least is the boys, or this one in particular, taking their revenge on this person that got them thrown into prison. That is all I know about it, and I know that Penelope Douglas tends to write things that are like a little bit darker and a little bit more taboo, and the 2 that I've read, like I said, I loved. I also have Good Game by Madison Fox on here. So this one is obviously by Madison Fox, who is a booktuber here on YouTube and is one of my friends. I am really excited about this one. I haven't picked it up yet because I haven't been in the biggest contemporary romance mood for a while, but this is one of my favorite tropes, my classic favorite tropes before I knew what a trope was, which is the bad boy and the rich girl. I eat that up every single time. This one in particular, I know that the guy is a gamer and I think that the girl is an artist. I just know that when I start this, it's gonna be like unputdownable. I just really want to make sure I'm in a contemporary romance zone before I do that. I also have Edge of Madness, which is book 2 in the Edge of Collapse series by Kyla Stone. The first book in this series is one that was a Patreon pick from I think like the beginning of 2023, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's like I don't even know if I call it a romantic thriller. It's more of, I guess, an apocalyptic kind of thriller, if I remember correctly. Like, I really enjoyed this, but the details are hazy. So this one is set in a world where an EMP, or our world should I say, and an EMP goes off which fries all of the electricity, technology, internet, vehicles, all gone. And it's also like, I think it's in Michigan and it's a very cold time of year, so there's snow everywhere. And as well as all of this stuff going dark, it also releases the lock on the cage or prison, I guess, of a girl that was kidnapped 2 years-ish, I think, prior to the start of the story. So she takes this moment to escape, and obviously like it's cold, she's been a captive for so long, so her body is like deconditioned, but she takes this as her chance to escape. And the other perspective, or one of the other perspectives we're following in this book, is the guy that kidnapped her when he finds out she's gone, as he stalks her across the world. And she also along the way meets a guy who reluctantly decides, like, he's lost everything since this EMP, but he decides that he's going to help her out when he finds her kind of stranded and alone. Super dark, lots of content warnings, but really compelling, and I really enjoyed it. One that I do have a physical copy of as well is Princess of the Broken by Jasmine K. Swinburne. This is one that I received for review, and I said, like, I have no idea when I'm going to get to it, but I did add it to my KU TBR for, once again, for ease of access. And this one is following a girl who I think she is a princess that's been trapped in a tower, and she manages to escape and ends up in this other realm where they take her in, providing that she plays the part of their princess, or a princess of their realm. Sounds really interesting, also a little bit dark, and I know that the main character is like tormented by some dark magic herself, so it does sound like something that I would be really interested in. I also have The Scepter by J. Bree because I own a physical copy of, is it A Crown of Oaths and Curses? Something like that by, is it Curses and Oaths? What is that? That's going to bother me if I don't find out what that is. A Crown of Oaths and Curses, I was right. So I own a physical copy of that one, and I know that it's like a super slow burn fated mate story, but I also know that there are 2 novellas that come before it. One is The Scepter and I think one is The Sword, and I think each novella follows one of the main characters of that book. So one follows the main female character, one follows like the love interest. And I think that The Scepter is about the witches of the world, which is potentially where the main female character is from. They're only very short novellas. I don't even think they're 100% required reading, but I think that they're a good introduction into the story. I really want to like J. Bree, so I want to give myself the best chance of liking J. Bree. These are only like 100 pages-ish as well or something, so I feel like they're a really accessible introduction into the series and to get a judge of J. Bree's writing style. I also have Court of Ravens and Ruin by Eliza Rain. Eliza Rain I think is going to be at Rare again this year. She was at the first Rare that I went to in Edinburgh in 2022, and Eliza Rain writes so many books. So I went for the fair romance because of course I did. And I think that this one is a forced marriage between 2 different fae from 2 different courts, and the main character is like, she escapes her court where she hates it and she ends up in the clutches of the shadow court where she is forcibly like wed to their prince or their king. Like I said, Eliza Reigns at Rare. I want to read an Eliza Reign book. I feel like Fae is always the best way to go for me. I also have Bewitched by Laura Thalassa on here. This is once again a book that I have physically that is on here for ease of access. This one is like a spin-off series to the Bargainer series, which is a fairy romance by Laura Thalassa, and actually the first indie romance that I ever read. And this one, or like the Bargainer series, is following a powerful fairy male called Desmond Flynn who makes bargains with people, and normally like he makes one bargain with you, he comes to collect on a time limit, and if you don't provide what you owe him, then you are in deep trouble, my friend. But for some reason our main character Callie has like these hundreds of beads winding up her arm, each one representing a debt to the bargainer, and eventually after 7 years of not seeing him, he comes to collect his debts. But this one is following the witches of the world. The main character of the first series, the Bargainer series, Callie, her best friend is a witch, and she's pretty badass, to be fair. I don't know if the spin-off is about her in particular, but I know that it's set in the same world and it is a series following the witches, and it's definitely a world that I'm eager to get back into. I also have Flawless by Elsie Silver on here. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because I feel like you guys know a little bit more than me. I added this because Elsie Silver was at Rare last year, and then I was thinking about taking it off because there's no priority for me to read this series right now. But a lot of these indie romances, or romances that were indie, are getting traditionally published now, which removes a lot of the time their access, like on Kindle Unlimited. So while this one was still on there, I thought I might as well keep it. It's also one that I'm not going to rush out and buy a physical copy of if I don't read an ebook version. All I know about these is that they are small town romances. Everybody loves them. I think a lot of people say they're yeehaw romances as well. So that is the vibe that I feel like I'm getting into, and I mean, I'm here for it. It's outside of my norm, but I definitely want to give Elsie Silver a go on KU to see like if this series is something that I want to pursue, because it's not something that I would instantly reach for. I'm pretty much just into this one because of the hype. I also have Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross, who is an author who is commonly at Rare, although I'm not sure if she's going to be at Rare this year. But she, based on the series, which is called the Stay a Spell series, these feel like they're going to be a series of like cozy paranormal romances. I'm not sure if that's 100% the truth, but I know that the first one in particular is following a wolf who hasn't been able to shift into his wolf form for 3 months, and he gets on the bad side of a witch, but she ends up taking pity on him and tries to help him with his problem. I also have Hooked by Emily McIntyre on here, which is another book, or like series. It's the first book in the Never After series that I was introduced to through my patrons. These are really dark fairy tale retellings, with Hooked being like a Peter Pan retelling, and I think that they're all contemporary, kind of similar to the way that Katie Robert does the Wicked Villain series, which is like contemporary Disney retellings. I know that this series is really dark, and I've heard a lot of very good things about it. Another one that I know is really dark, and that's actually all I know about it, is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I think that this is also the start of a series. I think that this one may follow the same couple, although I could be completely wrong with that. I'm actually just making that up. This one has one of those like typical KU synopses where it's like, this is the person that I hate and I would never touch in a million years, but like it's going to be a romance. So I don't actually know what the plot is or if there's any plot, but the synopsis does say that it was banned on Amazon because of the trigger warnings. So dark. That's all I'm getting from this. And then the final book that I still have out on KU, this is one that was in that last TBR, is The Risk by good old Miss Stabby, St. Abby. This one is the first book in the Mindfuck series, which is a serial killer romance, with the female character being the serial killer, and the male character I think is like a detective or somebody who's trying to hunt her down. I've heard good things about it. Again, I only have the first part on my Kindle, which is, I think it's about 100 pages, and it's one of those where like it's a series of novellas essentially. So the entire thing is I think less than 1,000 pages, less than 500 pages maybe. I know that all of the installments are all really tiny, but that is one, once again, that I've heard some pretty good things about. And I do like a serial killer kind of romance, you know, when it's got like a little bit of a twist in it, and the female character being the serial killer here is also really intriguing to me. Those are all of the books that I currently have out on KU. This is like, obviously the thing about KU is that it's low risk, you know, like I don't have to read these books. I can DNF them if I don't like them. I didn't really spend any money on them apart from, although if you really took into account the money I've spent on the subscription in comparison to the books that I've read, I'm probably spending quite a bit of money on them, but like whatever. Let me know which ones you think I should prioritize. Aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Kindle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.